Thanks so much for joining us here on a Tuesday. I'm Marlon Bowling with you as we watch your ag commodity trade. Lots of stuff going on, lots of movement in the markets here this week. Here to help us sort it all out, let's go talk with Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated. He's based in McHenry, Illinois. So let's go to the phones and join Rich right now. And Rich, thank you for being a part of the program, doing double duty here today. Lots of stuff going on. First of all, let's talk about the impact here on the grain markets. Let's take a look at the corn and soybean and wheat trade and give everybody an update on the futures trade. On the corn market right now, we have been trading under a little bit of pressure here today. Currently, we have the corn on the July contract 3.5 lower at 374. And December down 3 1/4 at 391 1/4. That's about 4 cents, by the way, off our high of the day. Now let's take a look at soybeans. On the soybean market, we have July up 2 at 972 1/4. Meanwhile, November 2 3/4 higher at 967 1/4. That's about a nickel off of its high of the day. Meanwhile, on the wheat trade, with the wheat tour underway in Kansas, we have July Chicago wheat 3 higher at 459. And in Kansas City wheat, here we have July now 6.5 higher at 472 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat trade, we have July now up 3 at 565 3/4. So your thoughts on what you're seeing take place here in this grain market activity so far today here, Rich?
I think the focus certainly is on this wheat right now, and with a lot of tweets coming out with this wheat tour, looks like people are focused on the idea that we are seeing some minor damage right now, but the concern here is that it might not be till tomorrow that we see these guys really get into the key area of concern in the southwest Kansas as far as this wheat tour. So for right now, we're seeing minor damage, a lot of reports of uneven fields, but the real question is still in front of us right now.
That is absolutely right. And of course, the western leg will start in Colby and head south and southwest and southeast of there and make its way eventually around to Wichita by tomorrow night. So they have a lot of ground to cover, and that, of course, will be the hardest hit area along the western third of the state. What about what's going on in the corn and the soybean trade here today? A little bit of divergence and spread activity going on there. Is that related to yesterday's USDA report?
You've got to suggest so here, especially with that very aggressive corn planting numbers seen here yesterday afternoon. I think that certainly got the trade's attention. So we do have, of course, a small pause here. Portions of the southern half of the eastern corn belt still waiting for this coming rain here, lined up next day and a half. So that's one issue still keeping these guys a little concerned, but as long as this forecast shows clearing skies after this event, I think much of the trade is saying this is a problem here for us these past few days. It knocks us out of the early planting category, but for the most part, it's probably not a major problem here just yet.
Some producers, I'm sure, are wondering if that number would actually go backwards this week, if some of those acres that had been planted are just drowning out.
Hey, that's actually a great question here. You know, a lot of these guys, especially because this was in the southern portions of the Corn Belt here in Missouri and southern Illinois, for instance, a lot of these guys had been planted for a good week and a half or so. Mm-hmm. So I think the case right now is waiting to let this water subside and get out in the field, and maybe we'll have some answers on that maybe in a couple more days here.
On the cotton market, we'll take a quick peek there at our July contract, and on July, we are now trading just 7 points lower at 78.88 cents per pound. December down 11 points. Rich, I'll be back with you talking about the most exciting market of all today, the cattle market, when we come back after this. Rich Nelson is our very special guest in this segment here, and we talked about the grain trade. Let's talk about livestock. All right, let's go back to the phone and talk with Rich. And Rich, we have some big developments here. The cattle and hog market started out just extremely quiet today, just very sleepy, not much going on. And then we got about an hour ago and we saw one limit up trade just as we popped it up on the screen. Half hour ago, we saw 4 different contracts going limit up. And let's take a look now here, Rich, and see what's going on, because there's quite a bit of a stir and excitement in the cattle complex today. All right, June live cattle limit up now at 127.12. I think due to rounding, the other one, August, is also limit up. That's $3 higher at 123.17. Of course, they trade in half pennies increase on the cattle, so that shows us 299, but that's basically limit up as well. October 245 higher. On the feeder cattle side, let's take a look over there. The May limit up $4.50 higher at 153.10. August limit up and September limit up. We have October limit up basically. There again, that's a case of rounding on the display there. So you have the first 4 contract months on the feeders going limit up. And explain what's going on here, because I haven't really heard much about what's going on in the cash cattle market out there, except the wholesale beef trade just seems to be on fire here this week.
I think that's the case right now. A lot of people are looking at the fact that we still have some overall good demand stories in front of us. We have 3 separate holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Memorial Day, lined up these next 45 to 50 days here from now. So that's one issue there. Also, the clearing skies forecast suggesting May and early June, still some good overall grilling weather. What we're looking at here for today, though, is this discussion that perhaps this market-ready cattle supply, we're supposed to be hit with 20,000 head extra put on this week's show list. Maybe some people are suggesting that with this heavy precip event out in the plains, many of these feedlots are concerned more about cleaning up the lots rather than doing active marketing here this week. So I think for this week's discussion, maybe we're going to see a small shortfall in the number of actual offered cattle than what the trade was expecting.
All right, I want to get your thoughts as well on the lean hog trade today. Now, we did have a firmer tone here heading into the mid-session. Let's take a look. Now the May lean hogs are actually $1 higher at 67.12, so they're on the high of the day. We have June up 84 at 74.12. That's not quite on its high of the day. We're about 20 cents short of that, or 25. July up 84 at 75.72. So given the fact that we are seeing limit up moves in the cattle complex, what about the lean hogs? Does that give them a little more reason to put on a little bit of a rally performance here today?
I think it sure does here. Now, we do have some concerns about overall pork demand as we go into the summer. It looks like beef is going to be clearly the winner on the future side of things here for the retail meat counter. But on the pork side, at least, we are seeing some good news, some confirmation that lower supplies will be coming in the future. Important for us here for today's discussion is the fact that we did have yesterday Seaboard out of Oklahoma. They had, of course, a down day due to power issues as well as the weather. And now they're back up to speed. We've only got Hatfield Quality Meats out of Pennsylvania. Their plant is down today for planned maintenance, but beyond this point, we're going back to clear skies and active marketings here. And this is important for us on the hog side, where lower supply in the next few weeks will be offered.
All right, thanks, Rich. Good to visit with you again. Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. Thank him for all the comments. Good guy to visit with. He was talking off the air about some photos circulating on the internet of some deceased cattle and feedlots.
Yeah, we talked a lot about wheat and the wheat tour, rightfully so, but these feedlots are working with a lot of death loss.
Another angle we haven't heard much about yet. So.
Exactly.